name and affiliation the first time you ask a question. The players will be here from 1:25 to 1:40, and then Coach Barnes will come in. So with that, we will get started. Floor is open for questions. Right down here in front. Do we have a microphone? We do.
PJ Brown, Arizona Daily Star. This is for Kate. What's it like for you coming back from this injury? And, it was about 3.5 weeks ago. You didn't play. You were going through getting better and then, healing and everything. And then you come out and you score 16 points last night.
Well, it was one of my first major injuries that I've ever had my whole life. So that was really something that was hard for me mentally at the very beginning. But my teammates, a lot of them have had injuries like that or, serious injuries. So they helped me a lot, encouraging me. My athletic trainer did a great job with rehab. So I felt really confident to come back on the floor and be the same that I was or almost the same. So, I was really excited to be back on the floor with my teammates. It's a perfect time. March Madness, it's exciting. So I was really happy to be back last night. I was really confident.
Front row.
Javier Morales, All Sports Tucson. Bendu, Kelly from North Carolina had a big game yesterday. Going into a game like that, matched against possibly her or a player that scores like her, what's your mindset?
Just not let her score. Just make her take a lot of tough shots. She likes a lot of pull-ups, so just make a lot of her pull-ups really hard. She likes going left a lot, so try to force her right to make her uncomfortable. So just making her as uncomfortable as possible. I think I have a lot of length, and I'm a little taller than her, so I think it's going to help me have a little advantage.
And then for Sam, coming off last night, the win, how do you guys refocus and get set for a really good North Carolina team?
Yeah, I just think knowing that this is the tournament, so, you celebrate last night, and then tomorrow we wake up, we watched film, just preparing for North Carolina. We know they're probably going to be a better team than UNLV was. So just being ready, following the scouting report, and knowing, what we did yesterday was good, but it means nothing now. We focus on the next game. It's 0-0 right now.
Kim?
Kim, Arizona Desert Storm. Kate, going back to, you talked about other people having these injuries, and Adia mentioned Shayna had been through it. What did she tell you?
The biggest thing was I was kind of nervous. Having played in 3 weeks and coming back, not knowing, not having any expectations for what could possibly happen. So she said, just go out there, don't be nervous, don't think about it, because a lot of times when you think about it, that's when you can hurt yourself. So, I just went out there and did exactly that, didn't think about it one time. So she's been great, especially right after the injury. I came back, after the x-ray and stuff, and she was in the locker room, and she was really talking to me and just telling me to keep my head up, just work hard, focus on rehab, and she's been great.
So this is for Sam. This is PJ from Arizona Daily Star. So what did you see from Kate during this time? She's shooting right away, and she injured her, she's right-handed, she injured her right shoulder. And then to come back and not be tentative and to really be the player, a lot of the player that she normally is. And what did you see during those weeks while she was, maybe off to the side shooting or then getting into scrimmages? And what did that look like from your perspective?
Yeah, well, Kate's been a competitor. She's always been a competitor. She's probably one of the most competitive people on this team in practice. She's going hard. It's the last second play of every game, I feel like, on every possession. So, I knew when the injury happened and we kind of figured out what it was, and the time coming back, she was just going to work as hard as she could to be back here because she obviously wanted to help us out during the March Madness run. So, just seeing her dedicated, doing rehab all the time, working with Jessie on the side, and then also not rushing back into it, really vocalizing, what feels good, what doesn't feel good. And then as a team, we're all just there supporting her. So coming into this game, obviously, we knew it was her first game and didn't know how she was going to feel because it is nervous coming back from an injury. But I think after she hit that 3, I was like, okay, Kate's back. We're good to go.
Brian?
Hi, question for Sam. Ryan Finley, Arizona Daily Star. What have you seen from Carolina's guard play on tape, and how dynamic are they?
Yeah, so it's weird. I think Carolina's a offensive team just like UNLV, so I feel like UNLV was more post-dominated, where North Carolina is now guard-dominated, so it's going to be a little switch up for the guards. So they have a lot of great guards coming in. Obviously, we talked about Kelly, Littlefield. They're very athletic. They like to score, and so we know they're a transition team. They're going to run and do as much as they can to get those transition offense. So I think we're just going to have to stay true to ourselves, play our defense, put pressure on them, because obviously they're able to hit pull-ups, threes. They're three-level scorers all around on the guard, all around with the guards. So just do what we can.
Is there anybody who they remind you of in the Pac-12?
Probably Utah, I would say. Just scoring, shooting the threes, hitting screens off pull-ups, just doing it all.
Up front.
This question's for Kate. After that three-pointer you made at the beginning, you let out a loud scream, that late bucket to get Young fouled out, you were stomping on the court. Just what does that do? I mean, where does that come from? Just talk about that emotion.
I mean, that's always the player I've been. I'm a very emotional player. I get hype. So, I mean, those plays just really bring out, the best in me. So that was really exciting. The three, I was a little nervous shooting before practice and stuff. I wasn't too sure how it was going to be with my shoulder and the brace. So being able to hit my first three gave me a lot of confidence, and I just felt really good for the rest of the game.
And Bendu, when you see that from her, what goes to your mind when you see Kate reacting like that?
It gets lit. I love when she reacts like that, because it makes everybody, hyped. And, especially Kate coming back, we miss that energy. So having that energy back on the floor is amazing.
Sam, Carolina was down by 10 to SFA. You guys had your difficulty with UNLV. Iowa went out today. I mean, when you see these things, what do you think about?
Yeah, just knowing that the seeding doesn't really matter. Just coming into the game, following your game plan, and knowing that you could get beaten on any given night, so you have to bring your best, play like it's your last game. I think us and North Carolina kind of got our jitters out the first game, so I think we're both going to bring it to a next level this game tomorrow. So just knowing that they're probably going to play 10 times better, 10 times harder, Sweet 16 on the line, your season's on the line, you want to go to that next region. So probably just everyone's going to be on their A game tomorrow.
Back row to the right.
Hey, Shelby Swanson with the Daily Tar Heels. So you all are a team that prides yourself on your defense. You rank first in the Pac-12 in scoring, defense, and turnovers force. And you're going up against a UNC team who just played SFA, and they do the 2-2-1 zone press. How are you looking to give them a sort of different defensive look?
I think we're just going to pressure. I mean, that's what Arizona is about, pressure defense. Trying to turn them over. And so we're not going to do anything different. We're just going to do the same thing and just pressure and try to turn them over and, get easy points off of turnovers.
Next question. Front row to the right.
And I was just looking at the stats for North Carolina. I mean, they put up 38 rebounds. You guys put up 22 last night, and I believe that they put up like 36. Just kind of what's your game plan to stay competitive on getting those rebounds?
I mean, first of all, in our game yesterday, we didn't really jump out on top and defensively, and that's not something that we normally do. So we have to come out ready defensively, play Arizona defense, and we just got to box out. I think that'll be a huge focus for us. Rebounding is going to be huge for us. So I think just being able to lock down, focus, because right now it's do or die for everyone.
All right. I just wanted to ask about having that sort of home court advantage. I was in the media room yesterday and just could hear the Arizona fans roaring all the way from in there, and they were loud during that UNLV game. How important will it be for you all to have that support in tomorrow's game?
Go ahead. I mean, I think we have some of the best fans in the country. They're always behind us. They're our sixth man. We love them. So I think every game, every home game, it's an advantage for us. No one really wants to come in here and play us because of the fans that we bring. We had 10,000 something yesterday, so we're trying to sell out tomorrow. So I think the community is excited for us, and we're excited. So they're going to be a big part for tomorrow.
Front row. Kim. We're wearing out our mic holder.
So I'm going to go back to the rebounding because that's been a issue for you guys for a while. It looked like yesterday there were a few times where you guys got ball watching in rebounds and UNLV just came in and took them. What do you have to do to fix that? I mean, what do you think's happening?
Yeah, I think it's a mentality. I think rebounding's all about just the effort you put in. It doesn't take much skill to turn around, box someone out, and rebound. So I think against UNLV, we kind of relied on our size a little bit much, which was why we got caught ball watching, just because we feel like we could out-jump them and just, get the rebounds, which wasn't the case. So definitely coming into this game knowing we just have to work on techniques and have the right mentality of, okay, we got to box out because we know North Carolina is a great offensive rebounding team. So we're going to have to go in and really focus on our boxing out and rebounding if we want to win the game.
Front row.
This question's for any of you guys. You started out cold or slow shooting-wise last night, coming off the Colorado game, and then it kicked in toward the end of the second quarter. Was it a lot mental, those misses? You guys missed a lot of short-range shots. I mean, just talk about how you guys were able to overcome that start.
Maybe it was jitters, nerves, being the first March Madness game. I don't know, but that's definitely just a mental lack for us. I think we just need to get out there. We need to jump out there from the beginning. I think we were all serious, so I don't think it was anything like that. I think it was just, we were missing shots. They were hitting tough shots. So I think that's sometimes how it happens, but tomorrow we have to be on our A game.
I also think that, the ball has changed too. We're not playing with a Nike ball. So I think it's a little harder and you have to adjust differently because the ball is not the same as you used to play with. We played with Nike balls the whole year. Now we switched to Wilson. So it's a little different, So I think that's kind of with our shooting. It's a little bit it's just different a little bit. The texture is different. So.
We have time for a few more questions. Back row to the right.
All right, so 11 players on your current roster have experience in the tournament, and you guys obviously went to the championship game last year. Can you talk about how that experience factors into tougher games like you're going to see tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps us having that experience, just knowing, the pressure that happens in certain games, knowing that it's only one game at a time. You get upset, you could be the person that's getting upset or being the upsetter. So just having that experience really is beneficial for us. And then last year, it was completely different being in the bubble. So it was like we were playing an away game every time, which honestly I think is more beneficial for us now that we have it at home because we knew what it's like to play away. Now we have home court advantage, but we are still able to play our last game we're as if we were away. So I think just having that mentality and obviously just going in knowing the quick turnarounds that it takes. In the Pac-12, we obviously play Friday, Sunday. So this is kind of similar, but just knowing having those quick turnarounds in the tournament, we kind of have that experience knowing what it's like.
Any other questions for the players? Up front.
Sam, were you able to talk to, obviously you probably were able to talk to Jade last night. What was that conversation like, and what was the family togetherness like after that game?
Yeah, it was nice. I got to talk to my family and then all the friends that we had around. We were just super happy that Jade obviously got to play a little bit, and then obviously I was happy we won. So it was mixed emotions, but Jade will be at the game on Monday. She's able to stay, so now she'll be an Arizona fan.
Up front.
When Jade checked in, I kind of saw you stand up and look at a deer, then kind of sit back down. Were you kind of trying to get back on the floor with her? Or?
I was just joking around a little bit, put me back on. But I wasn't expecting to play. It was just a little joke, little sister on sister action we could have got for the last minute of the game. But it was all fun. I was glad to see her go in the game, so she deserved that.
Any other questions? Ladies, you're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the day. Also, a reminder, if you haven't heard this, a recording of the press conference will be available in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at www.ncaa.veritone.com, and transcripts are provided by ASAP and will be posted shortly. Coach Barnes will be here shortly. Hi, Coach. Okay, we'll get started, and Coach, I think you know our routine to open up with a statement for us.
Happy with yesterday. Definitely happy that we were able to take care of home court advantage and win a game at home. But now it's on to the next one. It's one of those things where quick turnaround. You can only celebrate for a few minutes, and then you got to think about your next opponent. So our next opponent, North Carolina, and obviously they're a good team. We know that, playing at home. And I think one of the advantages from the Pac-12 is we're used to playing Friday, Sunday. So I think that in the tournament, that really typically, in most years, helps us. So hopefully it does this year, just that quick turnaround.
Ryan?
Hi, Ryan Finley with the Daily Star. What have you seen from Kelly in North Carolina? It seemed like she got pretty hot yesterday in the second half. And what's that point guard matchup going to look like tomorrow night?
Yeah, so I'm really familiar with her, obviously, from the recruiting process and just watching her for many years and playing for my friend's AAU club. She's a scorer. I think that what's really stepped out about her game is she has an incredible mid-range jumper, but now she's been very consistent from the three. And she's been really hot as of late. So I think it's going to be a battle, and they're two very different players, but I think it's going to be fun. And I think, Shayna has to definitely disrupt her and pressure her, but then, Shayna has to always defend her and defend her mid-range game. And I think one of the things that she's really effective in doing is rejecting screens and left-hand pull-ups. So we're going to have to slow her down.
Next question. Front row.
Javier Morales, All Sports Tucson. Adia, the rebounding, UNLV at rebounding, you guys for 36 to 22, and North Carolina has some good rebounds, but they're mostly guards or small forward types. Just comment about what kind of challenge that is for you guys.
So I think, we didn't do a good job of that yesterday, and a lot of it had to do with our slow rotations. And I think because we were in slow rotations, we weren't doing good on the backside for rebounds. And I don't know why, because we've been pretty good at that, like especially against Colorado and just late in the season. So have to rebound better, have to box out better, and definitely have to box out perimeter players. I know that if I think of a couple keys in this game, the first one, transition defense, the second one, boxing out. So those are things that we have to do. They're tough, they're physical, and we're going to have to do that in order to win the game. If we don't, then we won't win the game. So it's just going to be a mentality. It's one of those things where I can't take 2 hours today and work on boxing out and transition defense. It's something at this point you got to just want to do it and have the mindset and the mentality, because to me, boxing out, that's just a mindset. That's not you have to be uber skilled to do it. You just have to be able to have some technique, put a body on someone, and have the mentality to do it. So we don't do that, we won't win the game.
PJ?
PJ Brown, Arizona Daily Star. Adia, Kate coming back from this injury so quickly is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
She went from not playing at all, doing some shooting, eventually working back into scrimmages, and coming out yesterday and knocking down 16 points. What was that like? What did you see in her to make this recovery so quickly?
I knew that she was going to do that. I mean, I would have been shocked if she didn't come in and have at least 12 to 15 points because I've been watching her every day in practice. So it was one of those things that obviously the first week after the injury, she didn't do a whole lot getting mobility back, but she had pretty good mobility after a couple of days. So I was optimistic, knowing that the turnaround for the Pac-12 was really quick. So in my mind, it was like, why rush her for the Pac-12 and be 70, 60% when we can save her, get 2 more weeks. Remember, we had that 2-week hiatus. And then she has over like a month or 5, I think it was almost a month to get better. So I think that also gave her a lot more confidence because she had time in practice to get the banging. And so it's not like her first contact was the game. So she had been doing that for like a week and a half in practice. So I think that correlated to in the game to be confident, ready, and I think not hesitant. And I think, but the mentality of Kate is a separator. And one of the things that makes her special is that she can just come in the game and do that. Because different having contact in practice and then a game when people are hanging on you and stuff. But she's strong today, not a lot of soreness. So, I mean, I'm really impressed with how she responded. But that's who she is, so I'm not surprised at all.
Ryan Finley with the Daily Star. Obviously, 2 scoring point guards, but
Yeah.
you look around the country, there are a lot of scoring point guards. How has that position evolved since you played?
I think it's different. I think like teams either have like one of 2 point guards, obviously, one that's a really big scorer or one that's a really good facilitator. I think if you look at some top teams in the country, they'll have a point guard that's more of a facilitator. I think that if you look at us in North Carolina, it's not like those are 2 really capable scoring point guards in different ways. So I think it's kind of what you have in your personnel, but I think that they have a complement of, they can play different ways. They can run Deja at the 1 or the 2. So to me, she's not only a point guard. And Deja and Shayna is not only a point guard too, because she can slash. I think the difference is, Deja Kelly is more pull up and threes, and Shayna is more to the rim, open court. So different in that way, but I think it's going to be a battle. I think it's a really exciting matchup for basketball and for March Madness. But it's going to be a matchup on both teams where we both have to control the point guards. So I think that for both of us, I think North Carolina goes when Deja goes. We go when Shayna goes. So we both have to slow each other's point guards down.
Kim Doss, Arizona Desert Storm. Adia, you talked about Sam needs to take more shots, and we had a period in the middle of the season where she did. How do you get her back to that?
Yeah, I think that, of course I always evaluate that, and I don't think she passed up a lot of shots. I just think people are guarding her too. So I think maybe I'd say maybe 3 or 4 times yesterday watching the film that she maybe passed up some shots, but I do see in some situations why she did. A lot of times it's, the first reversal, and those are shots I don't want. So I think that us as a team and finding a way to look for her on certain penetrations or after movement, and I think that's kind of the part that we're missing right now, making that extra pass faster and driving and kicking a little bit faster. And then to her, she has to be aggressive, but she's not only a shooter. She can get in open court and go. My rule is you don't have to look for the point guard. So I think just different ways for her to be aggressive, because she was aggressive at one point in the season, and she's capable. So we need that from her, and we know people don't go under on balls on her. They don't leave her, but then that's good in some ways because it opens up the floor for Shayna. So I think I got to put her in situations where I can have people create for her a little bit more, and she can create off certain situations, and I can do that and help her a little bit more.
Front row.
Adia, you mentioned Kelly and recruiting. Did you recruit her, or was that just part of the AU scene?
A little bit, not a whole lot. Just because I think I had, I thought she was going to go and stay kind of in more of her region, so not hard. And it was kind of, I wasn't here that long, so we were just building the program. So I didn't recruit her hard, but I did recruit her. I did recruit her some, but I probably should have recruited her a lot harder and took my chance, because not like she stayed in Texas. I think at the time, when a lot of her class, a lot of those players were staying in Texas, and Baylor was right there. So Kim Mulkey was at Baylor, so much competition. But yeah, definitely should have recruited her a lot harder after watching her. And she went to North Carolina. I was like, I should have taken my shot and then recruited her from Arizona, because I really like her, love her family. Knew her mom from AAU, and was good friends with Jason Terry, who she played for. But she's a really good player. Yeah, I need to find me some Deja Kellys.
Front row. PJ.
So, Adia, we know what Kate's output is, and how important she is point-wise. But what about the intangibles, and what about the intangibles for the rest of the team, knowing that she came back like this and she's raring to go?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of factors. So everybody always immediately says, okay, scoring, she helps you score. Yes. I don't think that's the most impactful thing. I think that definitely helps, because at time, we go through some droughts. And then that's when we rely a lot on our defense. But I think the things that she really helps in is she knows the system. She's been in my system 4 years, or almost 4 years. She understands the way we need to play. She has experience from the championship game at a very high level. She knows what it takes to win. She's a winner. And so it's not all about the scoring. It's about her getting hype on certain possessions and plays, about her talking on the floor, her chemistry between her and Lauren are very cohesive. And our starting five is a cohesive unit. I think that, off the floor, bringing energy on the bench, all those things make it even more valuable. And at the times when we need a big bucket, we can rely on her. And she had some great moves down the stretch. So all those things, and then her aggressiveness, because a lot of times we tend to not be super aggressive, and she brings that. So it's all those things in addition to her scoring that make her special, and just a leader on her team. She's a captain, so I think those things make us go. And you know, I said before, she doesn't get hurt at the end of the season, and we don't end the way we did. And I think we would also been a different result in the Pac-12 tournament. And I think we would have had more success, but it is what it is. I think anybody that loses one of their best players and their second leading scorer is very different without them. So you bring them back, it's the psychology of a team too. They're more confident. You know you have another weapon. I think it's all those things that play a factor because the mental part of our game is really important.
Next question. Front row to the right.
Hi, Asher Boseman with the Daily Wildcat. And I remember talking to you before in the earlier press conference about how you're preparing your younger players, and you kind of said it's not time to mess around with your lineups, but you dug really deep into your bench last night. Was that kind of just on a needed to do, or do you anticipate kind of getting your bench involved a little more?
So I always want to do that. I think, as a coach, you always want to give your younger players experience because they're your future, right? So giving them some experience, 5 minutes in an NCAA tournament, it prepares them and knows what to expect. It's a different level of stress and different level of pressure. So I think those are things that are valuable, like long term. And definitely Gisela and Anna Grad and Nettie and those players you definitely want for the future. But I think there's a time and a place, and these games are tight. So it's not like we have a 20-point cushion where you can mess around. So yesterday, like that, it was still a game. But I think as a coach, you don't want last second one of your starters to get hurt either. So I think there's a combination of things. Definitely some minutes to learn from for our freshmen, but that's what it is. It's a learning process. But as a coach, you can't do that when games are important because you lose, your season's over. So I think that you have to figure out when to give players experience at the right time and also put them in a situation where they can be successful, not put them in a situation where it's really difficult. But yeah, I always want to do that. I always want to go deep. If I could, as a coach, if I could play 15 people, I would. Because, you want to, as a coach, reward people that work hard every day, do the things you have a great attitude. Like, I want to play them. And sometimes it's hard because there's a balance of wanting to play and make everybody happy, and there's a balance of winning games. So I think as a coach, that's hard. Some coaches probably don't care. For me, I was a player, so I know what that feels like, so I care. But I also have to do my job and do what's best for the team and play who's going to help us win. And sometimes that looks different. So, yeah, it's hard.
Back row.
Shelby Swan. Oh my gosh! Wow, the mic got loud. Shelby Swanson, Daily Tar Heel. You talked a little bit about just getting your rebounds up, but what are the keys, the main keys that you're breaking down to your players for beating UNC?
One thing, transition defense. I think that they're really good in transition. They go fast. They have multiple people bring the ball up the floor. It's not just the point guard, and they attack you off the dribble. The second thing, we have to box out, and we know that. And we've done really well at that at times. We just didn't do well at that last night. But I anticipate us doing well at that because that's a focal point today. And I think those are some two big keys. I think that if we do those things, I think we give ourselves a chance to win. If we don't guard them well in transition and we don't box out and rebound, we won't win the game. So I think on the flip side, we have to do those things. We're pretty good in transition ourselves. I think we do those things in transition. Also, a lot of times teams that are really good at something, they also aren't great at defending that. So I think that we can have a big advantage in open court. And we get stops. I think our pressure can disrupt them too. So I think there's different things that we can do. It's similar to the keys probably they have where we can be successful.
Thank you. And your players just talked about it earlier, but UNC has some really dynamic guard play that allows them to score at all three levels. What have you all been talking about as far as a defensive strategy against this?
We're not changing any defensive strategy because we're pretty good defensively. So we know what their strengths are. We know that, I think North Carolina has one of the best mid-range games in the country. Deja Kelly's phenomenal off mid-range and multiple players. So I think we know we have to guard that. We know that we have to box out. We know that they sometimes play small. Like yesterday, they played small some, so we might have to play small in just different ways like that. So we don't really change what we do defensively. We kind of do what we do, and we make people adjust to us. Because one of my philosophies is if I can steal other people's practice time, then we're doing something right. So you have to prepare for certain things against Arizona, and that's a strength. So I'm not going to go away from that. But we have to play solid defensively. We have to be able to guard them on balls. We have to be able to guard them in transition and rebound to win the game. If we don't do those things, we won't win the game. So I don't think it's going to be a game where it's just flat X's and O's. I don't think that. I think it's going to be who's more physical, who can do those things well, who can push the ball, who can defend the transition, because on both teams we're good at transition too, and then who can rebound better. I think that will be the team that wins the game. I
Time
don't think
for one last question. And we got one. Here we go.
Adia, Bandu made a comment about the new Wilson ball that it has a different feel to it, and that might have affected the early on shooting. Have you felt the ball, and what are your thoughts about the texture of it?
Well, okay, so as a player, I hated when the balls change. I don't think that should happen. That's my opinion. I think there should be one ball, and I think it should be consistent. Because as a player, when we used to play the men's ball in Europe, then you come back and you have a women's ball, and like that stunk. So I don't like when they change. I don't think that's good for our game. That's just my opinion. I'm not talking about sponsorship and stuff. I'm just talking about basketball and pure players. But I don't think the ball is bad at all. I think they're, it's different. It's different, and different is an adjustment, but I'm sure it's an adjustment for North Carolina too. So I think it is what it is. And those are the little things. I think who can handle those types of changes are successful in the tournament. So who can handle like limited time on the court, who can handle quick turnarounds, who can handle not tons of preparation for the next team, who can handle different ball, different atmosphere. Those are the teams that do well. And last year we were great at handling all that stuff. And so we have to be great at doing whatever we need to do. If we had to play with kind of a flat ball, you do what you do. But so does North Carolina. So like you figure out a way and you don't let any of that stuff get to you.
Coach, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We're done.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks.
You bet.
Sorry, my son was.
They've all heard it.